Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash, and I want to say Shalom to Akmanakwath out there, pursuing this truth diligently, coming at you once again with another lesson. And this is a continuation, another continuation of the series titled 7 More Essentials for New Believers of the Truth. This one's going to be a little bit of a shorter one, and this one's dealing with the second topic here. Women are not prophets. Okay, now if you go and we can go and look up the word. Doesn't like me to do it from here, but if I type in prophet, okay, define prophet.
Prophet.
Okay, a prophet is a person regarded as an inspired teacher or proclaimer of the will of Yahweh. Okay, it said in Christian use, the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, and the 12 minor prophets. Now you're going to see this word down here, prophetess. Now, usually it gets this wrong, okay? Usually gets this wrong. It says a female prophet, which it's a prophetess is, they don't prophecy as men prophecy, right? Or prophesy, excuse me. They don't prophesy as men prophesy, okay? Women, they might have certain dreams, okay? So when you see it's talking about a prophetess, all right, a woman might have certain types of dreams, all right, that are given to a man, a prophet to interpret, all right, fully. So she might have a prophetic dream, but she's not, going out on the highways and byways. She's not making videos because she's not really supposed to be teaching. So a prophetess isn't just the female version of a prophet. All right, it's a little bit different. All right, it's quite substantially different. But they might have, dreams that are had, or like certain minor revelations in a sense, that they might get, all right, whether it be a dream or a flash or something like that. But it's not like how a man is like teaching and preaching the word. Now it says, what does a prophetess mean? It says a woman who is a prophet, meaning she speaks for Yahweh or a deity. Not really. Women aren't to speak for the Lord. But right here, foretells future events, all right? Or serves as a spokesperson for a doctrine or cause. Lightly. But they're not the same, all right? What makes a woman a prophet? Someone through whom Yahweh speaks to his people. No, again, wrong. She can have dreams, all right, that can be interpreted. But again, a lot of the definition of prophetess goes off. As a matter of fact, what I want to do, because I'm curious, they usually go off in the Blue Letter Bible. Most places they do go off as well, because they don't have the Holy Spirit dealing with them. But we'll go and check it in the Hebrew. Prophetess, okay? Now, it goes back to this word.
Strong's H 5031. Neviah. Neviah.
Okay, Neviah means prophetess, a false prophetess, or, the wife of Isaiah the prophet. So, really what it means, it says, inspired woman, all right? An inspired woman, okay? It says it's the feminine version of Nabi, which is a prophet, which is not necessary, because it's not necessarily true, okay? They're worked with differently, okay? As a matter of fact, if we go, is there any time a woman was following as a prophet like the men were? Now, again, it says, yes, women were among Yahushai's followers. They're followers, yes, providing for his ministry and witnessing his teachings. No, that's not what we're talking about. Were women, let's see, were women, that would be a question. That would be a good one. Said, while the original 12 apostles were all male, early Christians recognized women in leadership roles. That says the Apostle Paul specifically calls out a woman named Junia as being prominent among the apostles. She wasn't an apostle. Again, you're going to get a lot of bug outs. Let's see. It says in the book of Romans, Paul says that Andronicus and Junia are prominent among the apostles. You can be prominent among someone and not be a part of. Among and a part are different, right? It said, what's the, like, you can go and get, what is the difference between apart and among. Okay, to continue, it says many scholars interpret this to mean that Junia was a female apostle. Wrong. All right, wrong. And again, it's because they don't understand simple definition. What is the difference between apart and among? Okay, apart or a part and among. Not apart, but part. All right. It says the difference is a part of refers to a single item within a whole, while among is used for relationship. Okay, no. Okay. Let's open it up. It's not getting it. Like, if someone was a part of a group versus among a group. Okay. That's what I'm asking. Okay. It says, this is an excellent way to conceptualize the difference. A part of a group emphasizes belonging, membership, and integration into a structured collective. The individual is a recognized functioning component of that specific entity. All right. Example, he is a part of the research team that developed the, of course, it's going to use that. He had the medicine. I'm going to say the medicine. But this isn't medicine. This is bullshit. But he's part of a research team that developed the medicine. He has an active role, a specific identity, and belongs to that defined unit. Among a group emphasizes location within a mass group of people, suggesting the individual is situated there, but not necessarily a formal member of that specific unified body. Okay, example, we found him standing among a group of tourists. He was physically in the vicinity of the tourists, mixed in with them, but not necessarily traveling with them as an official member of their touring party. For example, when I go downtown, I live in Vegas here, I'm among tourists. I'm not a tourist. I live here, but I'm among tourists. Okay? So going back when they're trying to say that, oh no, there were women apostles. No, she was among them. All right? She was prominent among the apostles. She wasn't a prominent member or a prominent part of the apostles. That shows you that these Christians do not understand anything. All right? That's why we had such a rocky start here, because we had to cut through all the Christian BS. Okay, that's why you have to do your research and understand words. Because if you're among someone, that doesn't mean you're a part of them. I'm among 2/3 on a regular basis. I'm among bug outs on a regular basis at my job. I'm not a part of them. All right, I'm not a bug out. I'm not a 2/3. All right, at least I hope I'm not a 2/3, right? So I'm not a part of them, right? So you might be among a group of musicians, all right, if you're at a concert, but you're not a part of them. So that shows you why you need to understand definition, okay? Because they don't understand what they're talking about. Yes, she's a woman and apostle as far as Paul. No, she's not a part of them. She's not a part of she's not an apostle. And I'll prove it to you through the scriptures, because look, the Lord is there's no contradictions. All right, the Christians even say, no, there's no contradictions within the Bible, but then they'll try to make a contradiction. All right, there's no contradiction in the Bible. You were right, but then you try to make a contradiction. We can go over to you can see anyway. We got Exodus 15:21 talking about what really a prophetess is. It doesn't mean they're preaching. All right, because then this would make no sense. Okay, 1 Timothy 2:11 through 12. It says, "Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection." Now, what is subjection? Okay, subjection really means to be submissive. Okay, subjection.
Subjection.
Okay? It says the action of subjecting a country or person to one's control, or the fact of being subjected. Now, they're going to use the word oppression, all right? But really, that's, how they are. And they're going to use all these words, slavery and all that, because that's what they think about it now, all right? Abuse. That they use that word, to make it seem like women have it so bad. But you are subject. If you are subject, what does it mean? What does it mean if you are subject to a king? Okay, it says you live under the king's authority, are bound by allegiance and obedience to their laws, and are expected to provide support in exchange for the king's protection. Okay, and you can even ask it, are you a slave? It should say no. No. Someone who is subjected to a king. That's not getting it. It means you're an individual who lives under the jurisdiction and authority of a monarch. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a... does that mean you would be as a slave? It says to be subject is distinctly different from being a slave. Okay, while both terms historically involve degrees of power imbalance, and it's true, a power imbalance, not balanced. Okay, men are over women. All right, you can go and get the woman is of the man. I think we actually, no, we didn't get it up. But it says, you can see it right here. It says, 1 Corinthians 11:8, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Okay? So another thing that you women need to understand, and this is, 7 more essentials for new believers. As women, you need to learn that you are not over a man. All right? A man is over you. You cannot come into this truth and start praising Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, all right, the Father and the Son, when you have an issue with men. All right? The Father is a man. The Son is a man. They are men, and they are over you. You cannot be in this truth when you have a problem with men being over you, okay? The man in your life, your husband, all right, is a lesser lord unto you, okay? He is not the Lord, but he's a lesser lord. We can go get that. This is 1 Corinthians, back 1 Corinthians 11. We're going to get up from verse 1, okay? It says... 1 Corinthians 11:1, be ye followers of me, even as I am of Hamashiach. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, or people would ignorantly say Christ. Again, incorrect translation. Now let me get paint. Okay, let me open up paint here. Okay, so the head of every man is Hamashiach, or some would say Christ. So you're going to have man, okay? Then over here, you're going to have Yahushai. Okay? Because it said the head of man is Hamashiach, which is Yahushai, all right? Which people would say Christ. Incorrect. Hamashiach, right? So, it says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man. Okay, so now you have the woman. And this is very important because it's building out the hierarchy here. Okay, and it says, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh, or people would say God, right? Okay. So this is the exact order that things are in. All right, the Father is over the Son is over man, the man is over woman, and really lastly, you'd have the woman would be over a child. All right. All right. All right. Children, all right, under 12 years old, because we know after 12, that's really biblically when you would become a man or a woman, around 12 or 13, right? So the father over the son over man, man over the woman, and woman over children. Now, it's not going to mention children here, but that would be the order, okay? So again, all in one, 1 Corinthians 11:3, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is Yahweh. So then it goes on to talk about differences between, men and women. And I'm going to get this one as a bonus because this is good for you women to know. 1 Corinthians 11:4 says, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoreth his head. You're not supposed to be praying or covering your head as a man. All right, while you pray or you're prophesying, teaching the word. All right, you're not supposed to have your head covered. Okay, no hats, no beanies. All right, I don't even like wearing over-the-ear headphones. All right, or on-ear headphones. Earbuds are fine. All right, but women, you're allowed to. You have to have your head covered to pray. 1 Corinthians 11:5, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her prophesy. Prophesy. Nope. Not what it's talking about. With her head uncovered, dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. Okay, so if you were going to pray without your head covered as a woman, you'd have to be shaved, right? It says, for if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. And most women don't want to be bald. Okay, so and also with prophesying, all right, with women, you can't teach men, but you can teach, the younger women, all right, as we're going to talk. But when you do that, if you're sharing a scripture with one of the younger women, you can't have your head uncovered while you're doing so, okay? So, but you're not to teach men, you're not to lead a congregation, you're not to be on YouTube teaching and preaching like the men do, or to be out on the highways and byways teaching like the men do, all right? You can teach the younger women, all right? We can go and show you that in Titus 2:3. It says, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, teachers of good things. You would be a teacher to the young women. It says that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Mind you, you know how to take care of your man. How to love their children. How to be a godly woman. Right, and they, of course, these women would use use scriptures to show them. There's the scripture. Look, no one likes a whorish woman. All right, they don't want a backbiting and vengeful woman. Right, they're gonna show scriptures like that. All right, in doing so, they would have to have their head covered. All right, their head wrapped up. But so that's what another form of them we could be considered prophesying. Okay, but they're not really. They're not doing it like the men are doing it, or a dream. They could be sharing a dream to their husbands, and their husband as a prophet would interpret it, right? That's how a prophetess works, not going out in the highways and byways and rolling with the apostles. There was none of the apostles were women. Okay. Now, well, they said she was there. She was among. No, not a part. She was among. She was around them, but she wasn't a part of them. Okay. I'm around dumbasses constantly. I'm not a dumbass, at least so I hope, right? If I'm around a bunch of people that are athletic, all right, doesn't mean I'm going to be athletic. I'm among them, but I'm not a part of them. I'm not a part of these athletes. I'm among them. If I was to go to a NASCAR race, I'd be among a bunch of race car drivers. I wouldn't be a part of them, I wouldn't know what to do up there. I mean, I could drive it, but I'm not going to know what to do on a high speed when it goes 200 miles an hour. I'll probably wreck, right? Because I'm not a part of them, all right? Or else I'd be in the race if I was, wouldn't I? Titus 2:5, it says to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their husbands, that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. So that's what, the position of a woman is to be, all right? Be subject unto her husband, all right? To be being discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient, right? And to teach the younger women to be so as well, right? So you're not to be, teaching, okay, unless it's, with the younger woman, but you're not supposed to be over a man, all right? So back in Timothy 2:11, it says, 1 Timothy 2:11, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp your authority over a man, but to be in silence. So a woman's not supposed to be teaching. She's not supposed to be putting usurping authority over the man. All right, what does it mean to usurp authority? All right, what does it mean? What would it mean? What does it mean for a woman to not usurp authority over a man? Let's see if it gets it right. It says, 1 Timothy 2:12, I do not permit a woman to teach or to usurp authority over a man. It is a challenging and much debated passage, of course, because they don't like the truth. There's nothing to debate. It's plain. But it says the meaning hinges on specific Greek word authentian, which occurs only one time in the entire New Testament. In this view, traditional interpretation, in this view, usurp authority is understood as exercising a type of leadership or formal teaching in a church that the biblical text reserves for qualified men. Yeah, exactly. The woman should not hold a position of formal governing authority over a man while in it. No, it shouldn't be teaching at all within a church setting. This often leads to the belief that women should not be pastors or preaching elders to a mixed gender congregation. Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. They shouldn't even really be holding a whole congregation with women. That's just weird, all right? You teach that in your homes, all right? You teach that the younger women. It says, Paul's explanation, the following verses refers to the creation order. Adam was created first, then Eve, and the fall, Eve was deceived, Adam was not, as the basis for this instruction, suggesting a created order of headship. It's true. Contextual. We're not going to read it because it's just they're going to go off. All right. The modern interpretation is that women can do whatever they want and that the man should bow beneath their feet and worship them. All right, as if it's holy ground. All right, and when a woman walks upon it. That's what a modern interpretation would be. They don't understand. It's right here. I suffer not a woman to teach, don't teach, nor to usurp authority over the man. Don't try to put yourself over a man, but to be in silence. Be quiet. There you go. Boom, bam. Broke it down. It's right then and there. It's plain. Stop trying to overcomplicate everything. All right? The Christians are trying to complicate things that they can't even understand in their most basic manner. And they're trying to complicate them. They can't understand this, and they're trying to make it more complicated. It's simple. Woman is not supposed to teach. She's not supposed to, put herself over a man. All right, she's supposed to be in silence. All right? Now, that doesn't mean she has to shut up all the time. She can speak sometimes, but there's certain situations where a woman's really not supposed to be speaking. We're getting to that right now. 1 Corinthians 14:34 through 35. Let your women keep silence in the churches. When we're on these videos, it's essentially as a church. When men are in a group talking about the Bible, it's essentially like a church. A woman shouldn't run up and interrupt. Okay, when the brothers on the highways and byways, that's a church. Women shouldn't run up and interrupt. They shouldn't be just commenting on the comment board just to comment. Women aren't to be posting scriptures. If you have a question, you can ask a question. Okay, we'll allow that. Okay, we'll allow that. If you have a question, you have a question. Okay, really, we're gonna get to that in 35. But if you don't have a man in this truth, that's the only time really you should be watching these lessons. If you have a man and he's coming in this truth and he's getting started up, support that man. All right, even if he's not the best worded at first, support that man, and he's gonna grow. Lord 1-3 how about Shemiah Shai? Okay, you should be watching his videos and supporting him, not some random guy. Not that we're just random guy. To me, I'm a random guy to you. All right, I'm a random guy to you. All right, if you have a husband, all right, and he's trying to teach, I don't want any of you on my channel. Get the hell off my channel. Okay, you women. Not that you're a bad woman. I'm saying you need to go and support that man. All right, and in his walk in this faith. All right, he's trying to teach. According to Yahweh Shemiah Shai. All right, you need to be watching him. Well, he has a stutter. I don't care if he has a stutter. Well, he only teaches basics. I don't care if he only teaches basics. Okay, that man more than likely is going to grow through Yahweh Shemiah Shai, and he would much like your support. All right, so you need to stand and support that man. All right, he's your husband after all. If you were doing something, he would want his support. All right, so go over there and support him. Okay, so it says, verse 34, let your women, but you women that don't have a man that's in this truth, that's a little different. You can come over, whoever you watch. It's recommended you stick with one teacher. All right, and not to be jumping, from teacher to teacher to teacher. All right, one All right, I recommend personally an apostle. All right, one of the apostles, either Apostle Gabar, Apostle Har, or Apostle Ramalab, in no specific order. All right, I would suggest going there. All right, I'll show you their pages. All right, and clinging on to one of those men and watching their videos. All right, so boom, and they always hide the brother the apostle for some reason, but all right, I'll do it like this. All right, this is the Apostle Har, this is the Apostle Gabar, this is the Apostle Ramalab. Go and choose one of these apostles. All right, just my recommendation. All right, and watch their videos. Okay, watch their videos. Okay, just go and just watch it. All right, you women probably won't end up liking Apostle Gabar. All right, because he talks a lot about women, but really that means all the more so that you should go and watch him. All right, same thing with Apostle Har. Same with all the apostles. They get on women, but the Apostle Gabar has a reputation. All right, with these women not liking him. All right, specifically. All right, the Apostle Har, the lead apostle, he gets on these women as well. But this apostle, this beloved apostle, I love this man. All right, I love all these men, but he has a reputation for women not liking him, because he'll call these women out. All right, and you need that. Some of you women need that. All right, most of you women need that. All right, because you're going off, and you need to hear, you wicked ass, fucking bitch ass, wildebeest of women. You need to hear that because you're acting like that. All right. Just like when you have some gorilla acting fucking Jake out on the corner, slinging dope and fucking cooking rock and toting pistols, he needs to hear that he's a fucking, gorilla-like fucking wildebeest of a human being. Okay? He needs to hear that. All right? A savage, an absolute savage of a human being, an animalistic version of what he really is. Okay? They need to hear that. Well, you call me an animal? You're acting like one. Okay? You're acting like one. You call yourself a self-proclaimed savage. You know what a savage is? Is someone that has no society. All right? A brutish and uncivilized human being. You're calling yourself that. Savage. And animals are savage. Okay? Anyway. So, 1 Corinthians 14:34, it says, "Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded. That's a command, all right? To be under obedience, as also saith the law." If you don't like it, you don't like the Lord. If you don't like the law, if you don't like what was a commandment is a law. If you don't like what is commanded, then you don't like the law. If you don't like the law, you don't like the Lord. And if you don't like the Lord, you're going to have a lot of problems, okay? Verse 35, it says, "And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home. For it is a shame for women to speak in the church." If you're a woman and you're going up to these camps, really, the GMS, not that I'm a part of GMS, but a part through the Spirit, but not a part of their camp. I'm just considered affiliate. They've already made it apparent that if you're a married woman, you're not supposed to be going up to. First of all, you're not supposed to be going up to camps just to have a visitation. Like a movie theater. Anyhow. Okay, they're out there teaching the word. If you stop by for a little bit, you stop by for a little bit. Really, you don't need to be interrupting or doing none of that. It's not a free rights visitation, right? And but the only type of women that should ever go over there, and really, if you're doing that, you should wait until after the camp. You can stand by watching the background and don't interrupt, and then, all right, do it. All right. It's the same thing with a live. All right, don't interrupt to ask a question right in the middle. Wait until it's closer to the end and ask the question, right? So, you don't want to interrupt class. All right, you wouldn't, your teacher wouldn't be going on something, and then here it is. She's talking about medieval history. You said, "Hey, can you tell me about the square root of so and so?" We're not doing that here. We're not doing this. All right, we're not doing this. All right, it's the same thing with a pastor or a reverend or anybody out in the world. If they're over here doing a congregation on, let's say, unclean animals, all right, and you're asking questions about, the teachings of Paul, we're not focused on that right now. All right, so why, if you wouldn't do it in a church, if you wouldn't do it in a school, why would you do it over here? Okay, but like I was saying, the only women that should even be showing up around the men are single women. If you have a man, you shouldn't really be around these other men. That's disorderly. Okay, that's disorderly. That's just, you're trying to open up pathways for adultery. All right, we don't know what you would say. Oh, I don't have a man, or blah 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 blah. Women lie, man. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Well, where are you getting that from? The Bible. A lot of women don't like to hear it, though. Ecclesiastes 25:19. It's in the scriptures. All wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Now, of course, this is an Apocrypha, which is part of the 1611, all right? The Bible that we read, the King James Version 1611, the original one, before they removed things from it, okay? But if you don't like that one, we can get you this one. Ecclesiasticus 25:24. Of the woman became the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. Let's go and get. We can get. I don't want to hear the Apocrypha. Well, you're wrong for that. But here's 1 Timothy 2:14. We were there earlier. It says, and Adam, well, we can go and get, we'll start from where we left off, because we got verse 12. Verse 13, it says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. All right. Adam went off by, following after the woman. That's where he went wrong. Okay. The woman was deceived and, preyed upon by the serpent. Okay. As she's still being preyed upon by that same old serpent, Satan, all right, Esau, and really now, still, being, having that, that liquid evil poured up into her ears, right? So, you women, you're supposed to be subject unto your men, okay? So, I think that's pretty much it. We got 1 Peter 3:1, but yeah, let's get 1 Peter 3:1, then we're gonna close out. It reads, 1 Peter 3:1, it says, likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, let me start over. Got tongue twisted in where the words were. 1 Peter 3:1, likewise, you wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may, without the word, be won by the conversation of the wives. So, where do you want to read to? No, that's pretty much it. I mean, we could continue reading on. I mean, if you continue reading the Bible on down, I mean, you'll get into an endless lesson because it's all perfect. It's all great. All right, as the scripture we got yesterday, it's all used for, what is it? All scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh, and it's profitable. What are we doing here? There we go. 2 Timothy 3:16. All scripture is given by inspiration of Yahweh, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness. So we could keep going and 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 going, just like the Energizer Bunny, but the lesson's got to end sometime, right? So, yeah, man. It's not a slight against women. It's just the truth. It's just the fact of the matter. All right, men have different things that were expected of us. All right, women have different things that's expected of them. It's not something that can be considered like a slavery or something horrible. It's look, the man's going to be happier. The woman's going to be happier. The children are going to be happier. All right, there's an order, and this is the order. This is the hierarchy. Yahweh over Yahushai, Yahushai over man, man over woman, woman over child. And like I said, I always say the only thing that's really a child is over is like an animal, all right? A dog. And the only thing a dog could be over is like a bug, all right? So this is the order it should be, okay? When you start having things, trying to start, what happens, all right, when you have a kid, you women, what happens when your kid starts acting up and says, fuck you, mom, all right? That's going off. You don't like that, right? Now, you men, All right. What about when your woman says, "Oh, I don't like you. You ain't nothing but a piece of shit." All right. You don't like that. You know, you ain't you blah 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 blah. You don't like that because she's supposed to be under you. All right. And then you have these men. All right. They try to put themselves over, you know, the Lord. Really, they try to put themselves. Let me reformulate this, because really they try to reformulate themselves in two ways. Okay, you have men that are trying to put themselves over the Father and the Son. Okay, notice there's not going to be any on this side. All right, because Yahushua never tries to Yahushua never tries to undermine the authority of Yahweh. Okay, they're linked. All right, this is a perfect link right here. Okay, a perfect link. Okay, that's a perfect link. Okay, but everyone else is trying. You know, you have women, children trying to be over women, and women trying to be over man under women, man trying to put themselves over the Lord. All right, and it's off. All right, and it's out of order. It has to be in the green. Yahweh has to be over Yahushua. Yahushua has to be over man. Man has to be over woman, and women have to be over children. It has to be that way. Okay, it has to be that way. This is the natural order. Okay, this is the natural order of how things should be. Okay, anything outside of that, it's in the red. It's going to be bad. That's why you have these women that are in unhappy relationships, because they want to be over the man, but they don't understand if they were just subject and didn't have that jealousy and that anger demon on them, that if the man being over them and provided for them and helped them, all right, and they could help that man and what he's doing, they would be in a happier relationship. They would be in a happier relationship. Okay? But, you know, a lot of people are too stupid to understand these days. Okay? So that's the first part. So don't think it's a slight. Don't think we're picking on women. We love women. All right? But we're not equal. We each have different, you know, each have different things. Okay? You know, the manager needs, all right, a manager needs an assistant manager. All right? So, but assistant manager is not the manager. All right? Should not be doing the full manager tasks. Okay? They are the assistant. All right? They can do things that are appointed by the manager. Okay? And the manager should never try to go over the CEO. Okay? So, and the women are likened to the assistants, the man are the managers, and of course, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is the CEO. All right? So, you know, CEO and owner. So, you know, we can't go over, you know, y'all, we got to do all that. Look, we got to do what we got to be subject on. You say, oh, well, you just got to be subject. We're subject. We're subject unto the Lord. You're subject unto us. You say, oh, well, men don't have to. Yes, we are subject under a higher power. Yes, we are. All right. The difference is that in this truth, we don't complain about it. Okay. Like you'll hear women complaining about being under women, women being under men. Okay. That's just the order. All right. We got to be. And with Yahweh Shem Yahushua over us, the order is right. We're in a better state with the Lord over us than when we didn't have the Lord over us. All right. And in due time, when you keep it up as a woman, all right, and learn that the man's over you, you'll realize that you'll have a better time. All right. You won't have so much stress. You won't have to make as many decisions. All right. A man will help you and guide you. All right. And you just sit there and, you know, you assist. Okay. You don't take the reins. You assist as much as that man needs. So that's the lesson. Okay, that's the lesson. Again, one more time, because I know women, you can be a little sensitive. That's in the scriptures as well. A weaker vessel. All right, let's go and get that real quick. 1 Peter 3:7, it says, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife. We're not beating on the women or you piece of shit. No, you know, we love our wives and we treat them with, you know, respect, but they are subject to us. It says, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life. We are heirs together. Okay, you're not supposed to be coming over and messing me up, because if you mess me up, you're messing yourself up. It says that your prayers be not hindered. Right? So again, all together, likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. All right, look, I'm your quarterback. And if I'm throwing a ball and you try to whack it away, you're hurting the whole team. You're hurting both of us. Okay? You're hurting both of us. All right. There's no reason to set your house on fire just so you can prove a point and be right. Now you're out of a house as well. Okay. It's just ridiculous. It don't make no sense. But hey, let's go and get that. Okay, let's go and get this. Proverbs 14:1. It says, every wise woman buildeth her house. Okay, you're going to be, trying to do better for your husband, trying to do better, try to do right for your kids and teach them and, build a better family and future for yourself, right? We don't really have the time for it now, but, as much, if you already have it, doing as good as you can, right? It says, every wise woman buildeth her house, and really the man is the one that's really the house. He's the architect building this apartment complex, all right? And he says, babe, I need you to pick up that hammer. I need you to start going to town on this wall. You better pick up that hammer and start going to town on that wall, okay? But instead you say, fuck you, I ain't doing shit, Jamal, and you start, and you take a sledgehammer, all right? Instead of, hammering the wall, you start smashing it down, you start breaking all the wood down. Guess what? That woman that picked up the hammer and was hammering, and building it with the nails, all right, as the man instructed her to, as the architect, guess what? Now she has a whole apartment. Now she has a whole house to live in, all right? And she had to be subject under that man, and she was okay with it. But the woman that didn't like having a man over her, guess what? Now she has no home because she tore it down, okay? And now you're mad at the man. Hey, you just fucked up, Jamal. You're the one who tore the shit down. Mad at me. For what? Proverbs 14:1. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. There you go. So that's where we're going to close out. So that's been 7 more essentials for new believers of the truth. I believe this is part 3. All right. And Lord, when it was edifying, we're going to close out there. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak. I want to say shalom to you, brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing, shalom.